Welcome to Toss We Talk. Today we are talking to Brent Patterson. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
Does a lot of things. He's a local content creator, journalist,
DP.
videos, all kinds of stuff.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little more about all these things that you do.
Yeah. Starting with the journalism thing, I don't really do that anymore. That was what I was for 4 or 5 years here locally. Now I am a commercial DP. So I do, I'm a director of photography for commercial work, brand, corporate storytelling, that kind of stuff. And the content creation is more or less me putting myself out there. I think as creatives, it's really hard for creatives to put our work out there. And so when I set out to, be on my own, to be a freelance professional, I was like, I really need to put myself out there. But the work I was doing wasn't like, oh, I really like, this is super exciting. I think other people get excited by it. It looked great, but it wasn't like, it is what it is. And so I was like, I should just create my own unique things to put out there and showcase myself in that way. So that's really where the content creation came from. I feel weird calling myself a content creator because I don't, it's not what
It's more like advertising your work.
It's advertising myself. Yeah, it's just putting myself out there, putting my work out there so people could see it. I think a lot of times when I say that I'm a director of photography, I am somebody who really cares about what's in the frame of the video that I'm shooting. And I know how to create a certain look. I know how to make things come alive within that frame. People want to see someone who's like also just like really into doing that in their free time. And that's kind of, I think, why people resonate with it within my industry is because they're like, oh, yeah, he really cares about what he's doing. He loves doing this stuff. Yeah. He's out here on a Saturday flying a drone around the city. Like, I want to go have coffee with this guy or something. So I think that's kind of where the content.
I really like that one, the reel that you did with the Kimpton. Or,
yeah.
I think, or was it the Cardinal? One of those, or both, maybe.
Yeah, it was the Kimpton. Yeah. Yeah, that was just kind of, so December for my line of work is just a dead period. I didn't have any work in the month of December, which I'm not really complaining about, but there's just not a lot going on. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go try every week to just go out to a local business and be like, hey, can I shoot something for you? No strings attached, just want to shoot something. Yeah. And so got really lucky with the Kimpton. It actually snowed the week that I went, and I was like, I wasn't supposed to come shoot on until Thursday, and I think it snowed a few days before that, and I called up the marketing director. I was like, hey, I'm coming over, it's snowing, I gotta get some, and I don't know, I didn't get paid for that, it was just a fun thing that I did, but I think that kind of goes back to it, is like it was snowing, and I was like, I gotta get out there to shoot this, because I just enjoy it, I really do.
It was a really cool reel, like everything about it.
Thanks.
The way it was shot and done, it was different than... And I know you're saying you're not a content creator, but it was definitely different than the other stuff you see among content creators.
For sure. Yeah. I think there's two levels, or two, not even levels. There's two different types of content creation. There's like the UGC side of things, and then what I call PGC, or professionally generated content. I think the two of them, for a business, I think the two can work together in like a symbiotic relationship. UGC is like kind of how in my view, is how the customer sees your business, and I think PGC is how the business owner sees their business, right? It's like a hotel will spend months going over the design of their lobby, right? They'll pick out the furniture and the colors and all this stuff, and UGC really captures the experience of the guest, but professionally generated content can come in and be like, oh yeah, like the light really hits this space at a certain time, and I know that's intentional because of the way that you have the windows and the types of drapes that really soften that light. And so like being able to capture that for somebody is like, I think, really important. UGC's, I follow a lot of UGC creators. I love what they do, and that's kind of like the democratization that we were talking about. Of
captures the essence of things.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Everybody has the ability to shoot something. It's kind of. Everybody has the ability to be creative nowadays. It's really great.
Back when you were a journalist, what kind of stories did you cover?
I did everything local. So I worked at Fox 8. I was so literally everything. I did breaking news. Towards the end, I was doing more of the features with like Bob Buckley and the anchors. They would do their kind of like special, the Buckley Report and all that stuff. But I was in there kind of pitching story ideas and following up with on leads for certain things. Thoroughly enjoyed that work. It was very rewarding. It's easy to get burnt out on it though. Yeah. So that's kind of where I came to that point. And I was like, all right, yeah.
Oh.
So,
What's your favorite kind of content?
oh, that's a great question. Favorite kind of, I really kind of like. That's a great question. I really like I like to look at the stuff that I could do. So there's like this specific kind of like editing that's very After Effects heavy with a lot of transitions, and you're masking things out and like altering one aspect of like this Red Bull can. You can alter that in space and make it 3D and kind of like, and like people do that in like car content a lot. So like the logo will like twist and then like move out of the way and then you'll zoom through the logo. I can do that stuff, but I know how labor intensive it is, and that's one of those things where it's like I don't have the drive to do it. You know what I mean? It's like I marvel at people who can just make a 30-second video and spend 5 hours doing it. It's like that's really cool to me because I just know how much work goes into it.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're getting to the place where you can just go, hey, turn the can and then have the car, kind of blast through the can and make the whole thing sort of drip with rain afterwards. And you're like, oh, okay, give me a second.
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Yeah.
But that's
The AI.
on the horizon.
Yeah.
It's on the horizon of it. And I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of it either.
No.
I don't like the term AI filmmaker. It kind of
That's an oxymoron.
it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit.
Well, you can imagine that I feel the same way. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you ever start seeing your likeness in AI, I'm sure that'll be.
God forbid.
Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. It's not to say that maybe it doesn't exist somewhere, but no. It's I don't know. The whole thing is, the one side of course is it's impressive. It's incredible technology, and
Sure.
it's in its infancy is the startling thing.
Mm-hmm.
People say things like, well, I'll see somebody create something. Like yesterday, somebody had released something out of China's new AI platform. I don't know what it's called, where they had Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt on a rooftop fighting each other, and they were using the Epstein files as the conversation. It was meant to be half joke, but it was ridiculously good for something that was voice prompted. And then, I'm looking at the comments and they're going, well, you can still tell this is AI slop. And I'm like, this thing is a year old. Yeah. It's a year old. And this particular program is about a week old. So what happens in 2 years from now? You guys are not thinking longitudinally when you're like, that's AI slop. I'm like, you can tell it's AI right now a little bit.
Yeah.
There's still some people that can't, though.
In 2 or 3 years, no way. And that's extraordinarily frustrating. Which, to your point, though, about making the kinds of content that you're making, like the thing you just showed me, is very cool drone shot of the city and then capturing individuals in this town, whether they're somebody that you're focusing on or they're just a part of the story that you're telling. That's something that AI cannot ever create because it's personal. It's individual to this town or to that business or to somebody's life. And it would take a human to go in and say, I want to capture this person's essence or this business's way of doing and expressing themselves. And AI, thankfully, can't really do that. But
Right.
some of the big narrative stuff that you were talking about, wanting to get into more narrative, I just hope that there's some way that it doesn't become entirely prompt.
Yeah. I mean,
essence.
it's kind of a scary place to be. I think there's parts of me that it's like still, I don't think that AI is really going to, like, I think there's some industries that are always going to need human generated content.
I hope you're right.
I hope so too, for my sake. But,
for all our sakes, really.
Yeah, for sure. But what you said was really kind of like hits the nail on the head. Is like in the last 12 months, the progression of video AI has just gone like that, and it's like every week you're seeing a new program that's coming out that's like, wow, okay, that's really good. The issue I think really gets down to it is I've yet to see anything that AI has made that has any soul to it. And I spend a lot of time researching cinematographers' work, and so like right now I've been getting into Schindler's List, which is
unbelievable.
Tell me about it. It's been tough, rewatching this and going through it. But AI will never make that.
Right.
It never will. And anybody who says that it will is like the crypto bro of AI film. They're chasing a fad. They're not to be trusted. So
the flip side of that coin, though, and I think you're 100% right when it comes to the Schindler's List kind of film. You're talking about a personalized story that way and capturing it with heart. It's going to take human intent. But the flip side is, you think about some otherworldly action adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, that kind of stuff, and if it doesn't already have a grounded piece that is rooted in some fabric of the reality we're all living in, and you can just sort of spitball, I think unfortunately it's going to be really, really good at that.
Yeah.
I really don't like that, because I love when somebody gets excited about their fantastical notion about something and they build it themselves and it's got this architecture to it. And AI is really good at copying things and spitting out a new version of it. That's borrowing from that kind of already existing architecture. So to your point, I think it's going to struggle with the human element, but with the things that don't require pre-existing heartbeat, so to speak, and they can borrow an architecture, I think it's going to be unbelievably good. Yeah. And I hate that with passion.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of legal ramifications though on some of this stuff.
There will be on the things that have to do with actual individuals, but anything you just like from scratch, which is to say an awful lot of stuff.
Yeah.
No, but that's exactly why the actors went on strike and all that was to put them, at the very least to kick the can down the road a little bit. We bought ourselves, what we get, maybe 10 years, so we're on 9 years now, where AI is not allowed to basically do our jobs. But that's just, it's just fail-safe for that period of time. Eventually it's going to start having a very big hand in it, because there's no, can't put the
it's just crazy
toothpaste back in the tube. So,
yeah. I mean, I think the thing that we just didn't learn any lessons. We ran headlong into social media. What is that?
Without thinking about it.
Nobody ever asked questions, the right questions. It was like, if it moves the needle for capital, for spending, that sort of stuff, and then it's like, well, hey, all is well, until it's not. And that's kind of how we kind of got into the mess that we're in now. I think, but I do see the way that people react to social media now. There's been pushback, and there's also been craving for things that are more true to life, more realism. That's why UGC content is so so well liked, because it's real, it's grounded in somebody's perspective, and social media has gone that way, increasingly so. And I have to think that you'll get to a tipping point with AI where people will see and be like, you know what, I kind of just want to see something that somebody had some sweat equity into, and not just like sit at a computer in their mom's basement. That's how I picture every AI filmmaker, is just some guy in a basement, just like, hey, But
me too.
I think people will push back on it to some degree, and. Hey, best case scenario, it just makes it so all of us, don't have to actually work real jobs anymore, because AI is doing it all. And
government sends you a check every month.
And I can go and make passion projects. So
there you go.
I like your optimism. Let's
know,
go with
right?
that.
Yeah.
Brent's got it figured out. Let's go that way.
I hope so.
I will say that, I mean, maybe it's the algorithm but from the things that I'm clicking on or whatever, but I do feel like a lot more content is coming back to things like getting outside and go cooking, time with family, things that are, to your point, they're more rooted in reality and experiential and this kind of stuff. I do feel like, if you spend enough time in this, not just AI hole, but this dark place where you're, staring at the screen all the time, you begin to realize that there's a piece of you that is disintegrating if you don't go get out, get and be around other people, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Again, it might be my algorithm from the things I click, but I get a ton of that stuff in my feed, and it's people going, go listen, go live your life. Put your screen down.
And that's how marketing content has gone more realism. You'll see a lot more shaky camera, a lot more what I call intentional mistakes. With the way that, whether that be lens decisions that they make that give things more character, or like purposely altering the frame. The new Knives Out show on Netflix, the director and the DP just took like pieces of like red plexiglass and like literally duct taped them on the lens. So they would do these like crazy red like streaks. And it's like, that's just so, I mean, to many is like, oh, that's low budget filmmaking, but it's, it's a big budget Netflix kind of thing. So I think, people who make art are always going to be able to figure out ways to communicate that art in a way that's that resonates with people. And the guy who shot Schindler's List, he's well known for doing those kinds of intentional mistakes that really show up in the frame. So, AI can't do that. So
It's also the beauty of film. Actual film.
Yeah.
My daughter pointed this out, and I guess I had certainly noticed it, but it was really cool for her to say something about this. We were watching, some 90s movies, some 80s movies, and she said, you can tell the difference. There's a tactile feel to film versus digital. There's something that's, beautiful, and it does have this sort of like graininess. It's almost like listening to a record versus, something on your
more
playlist.
More texture to it.
And you feel it. You do. So, Schindler's List definitely has that.
Yeah, and that's so crazy because I don't even know how to shoot on film. It's like I've never shot anything on film. I grew up in the digital, world. Yeah. And so, I mean, that just shows like that's technology for you, right?
But I remember when you'd have a real finish, and literally you're handling a glass vase, watching them take this thing off, carefully package it up and put it in a case and take it to the processing trailer, because you messed that up, and there's 3 days and $2 million it's gone from the film. And I remember on some independent films, they'd be buying cut-ins. They'd be buying what they call the cut-ins, which is what's left over reel from previous films that they would put back together, and they'd cut them together into new film reels, and they were less expensive. And then you'd have to jump the little cut space. You have to know where they were.
Right.
It's wild. It was really, really wild. And then the camera itself, my gosh. Are you guys familiar with the rolling dollies in the track that it's called a Fisher Jr.? So it's Fisher Jr. There's a guy sitting on it, and there's an arm that carries the camera and all this stuff, right? Do you know what those things were originally designed for?
No. What?
During World War II, they designed them to carry bombs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're massive pieces of metal, and they weigh so much. But they did all that so it was so stable to carry this bomb.
Yeah, smooth.
So that it wouldn't move. And some camera guys were like, that thing doesn't move at all.
Yeah, I want that.
Let's put a camera on that.
Yeah.
So you've got this huge, because I remember looking at it one day, it was I think it was on the set of Titans. And I'm like, why is that so, I'm talking to the DP, and Philippe Rousselot, if you know who that is. But I said, so why is this thing so massive? And he said, well, it doesn't bounce. And if you put it on the track, it's just butter smooth. And then he told me the story about they carry bombs.
Cool.
So yeah. right?
Just another way that war tech really
Right. Yeah.
gets into everything.
Finds its
doesn't
way
it?
into other stuff, right? Advances in technology.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
funny.
that's crazy.
Yeah. So,
Where are you from originally? Are you from here?
Yeah, I from here, born and raised. Technically born in Greensboro, but I lived there for a few months. So we'll call it Winston. But yeah, born and raised here. Lived in Pofftown. Went to first graduating class of Ronald Reagan High School. You know where that's at.
very nice.
And first person to get in-school suspension at that school.
What was
Now,
it
see,
for?
there's a feather in your cap.
Yeah, for sure.
What was it for?
I don't even remember, honestly. It was
It
just
was just the First Amendment.
yeah, I think I was skipping class, honestly. I think I was just not where I should have been. But yeah. So I was born and raised here. Was in the Army for a little bit and deployed to Iraq, and then lived in Hawaii where I was stationed. And
Tough station.
yeah, you do get island fever, but that's not the beach every day is pretty nice. But yeah, living in bigger cities and having the opportunity to stay in those cities and still being like, I think I'm gonna go back to Winston.
So what do you love about it here that keeps you here?
I think the answer now is maybe a little bit different. Having gone to bigger cities and spent some time in them, I think I realized that being born and raised here was such a privilege because you're surrounded by people that more or less any stranger that you meet, is not always looking to get something from you. When you go to a bigger city, that was the biggest culture shock for me, is like the trusting kind of maybe naive guy from this, small southeastern city I was just too trusting, and people took advantage of that. And, being able to not have that be another thing that you have to worry about when you're in the place that you're from is a great thing. So that's why I came back. So that's what I love about it. It's just, it's a great place to live and raise a family and work. I think when I was younger, I was just, I don't know, where my family was, but now I know why my family stuck around. So
I don't think we've heard that answer before either.
yeah, that was my sister actually, she may not like me talking about her. She moved down to Orlando, and I think that was a big, culture shock for her as well, as like going down there and being like, oh yeah, you have your friends, and then you have your good friends, and it's like there's people that will call themselves your friends may not always have your best interest at mind, and here it's just not like that. That's just we operate on a different set of values. And
That's a good point. I agree.
yeah.
I like that answer. I think it's very true. There's something about that in, I would say, the Southeast in general, but some of those mid-sized cities that haven't gotten it's less transactional. I agree with you.
Yeah.
People are
Transactional.
genuinely
Yeah.
interested in each other and, your story.
There's about a 2 to 3 degree separation in these size cities that chances are within all 4 of us, we can name one person outside of us 4 that we all know.
Yeah.
So, and
Right.
you don't want to be on because we are in the South, you don't want to be on the bad side of that kind of gossip, right? So
For sure.
So
that's
we
funny.
treat each other with a little more respect because I think we are respectful, but also we don't need that kind of shade.
Yeah. That's for sure. Yeah. Hey, you can't go anywhere without knowing somebody or having that 2 or 3 degrees of separation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which, for the most part, is really cool.
Yeah.
I do like that. I mean,
That is
no one's
cool.
knows somebody. I mean,
Yeah.
it was the case with Jane that was just talking to. We know a ton of people in common. So
Yeah, you always have to act right when you're out in public. The amount of people that I run into that know my dad is just like,
That's funny.
oh yeah, you're Fred Patterson's son. I'm like, yeah, you know my dad. Shocked. So, that was even hard that was the hard thing about skipping school. It's like, everybody knows you.
Does your dad know you're doing this?
Yeah. People, I actually did have somebody call my dad. They saw me out when I was skipping class. This is going to make it sound like I skip class all the time, but I did not. But when I did, I got caught that one time because they called my dad. My dad calls me and he's like, where are you at?
It's not where I'm supposed to be, sir.
Yeah. So and so from that I knew 20 years ago saw you out. It's like, wow, small.
Dang
city.
it.
Yeah.
You get away with nothing around here.
Yeah. Could have gotten away with that in L.A. probably.
Yeah.
Were you in LA?
No, I actually. Well, I spent a little bit of time in L.A. because I would
Yeah.
fly when I came back from Hawaii. I'd fly into LAX.
Yeah.
And I actually dated the girl from Chino
Okay.
for all of 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out.
I was hoping we could commiserate on LA stories for a while.
I spent got in and out and did all the things, so saw the sights, but I didn't
You were smart.
spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. You were smarter than I was. Mine was a necessity, though. So
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
what do you do?
Yeah. You were probably out there before the big Atlanta, Georgia push, and
During and
During.
before and during.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which, didn't really negatively affect me. It just meant for me being able to go back and forth and work from both places. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a nice piece of it. So
Yeah.
because it got me to be able to get out of LA more often. Not that LA's a terrible place. It's just not a great place. It's a great place. It just it's very, very specific. And to your point, you've got your friends and the people that you meet that you enjoy hanging out with, and then everybody else is in the industry, and that's it. So I rarely met anyone that I had like maybe 2 friends that were really knee deep in the industry. Because that's all you're talking about, and it's just the entire city is enveloped in it. So yeah,
I do think that Winston could take note from some of these bigger cities, right? I think the one thing, if you have the thing that I love about Winston, the one thing I maybe don't like as much about it is there seems to we're the city of arts and innovation, and I think all of the cities that are preparing themselves right now for success in 20 years are the ones that are establishing a culture. You think about the music scene in Seattle, in the early 90s. What was Seattle like? And I don't know, this is a good question. What was Seattle like in the 70s? What was it like in the 60s? These cities that become known for something, they end up attracting the new business. They attract the new industry, the younger people that are going to make the new industry of tomorrow. Those cities that have that special pizzazz, that special culture, and that comes from the arts, but that comes from the people, it comes from expression and exploration and all those things. So I don't think Winston really taps into that as much as it probably could. But that's also a tall task, and it's not necessarily more up to the people of the city than it is necessarily the government or anything like that. So
no, but I do agree that we've actually had that conversation a handful of times in here about if you could take the branding of the city, how we go about quote unquote selling the city. How do you package the city, whether that's to new businesses or people who are interested in moving here and that kind of thing, and you put it together with the strongest suits. And as you said, arts and innovation is where we spend our time talking about it. Okay, so how do you take that and start packaging that together so that it represents the city as a whole? I think about Austin, Texas, and it's known well for South by Southwest. It's also known for having more live outdoor music venues than any other city, and whatever. Now I think they have like an F1 track and that kind of stuff. So they're finding these anchors. And, I think about Greenville, and they've done a really good job with, South Carolina about tying in everything around that waterfall. And then they've, developed that area, which was so overgrown. Asheville, you think about all the breweries, it being a mountain town. It's very specific to the mountain town, but Winston has so much of that, so much of these possible things. If we would collectively put that into quote unquote branding, packaging, and then, to your point, proliferate that, make that something that's more accessible and something that the community rallies around, I think that they would. But it's kind of hard, I think, for the community to know what they're rallying behind if it hasn't been sort of established in that direction. So there's been a lot of movement that way. I think, the Dash and now this new amphitheater they're working on. And, we were just talking about the grounds and certainly Wake Forest University and what they've done in downtown. So it continues to do that. It would just be maybe nice if we could coalesce around that concept. And what exactly is that concept? How do we go about it? I'm not pretending to say I know, but,
Yeah.
figuring that out a little more clearly.
Yeah.
To your point.
I think the music thing is something that is
Yeah.
in our roots to a certain degree. You know, we had some obviously Ziggy's, like the OG Ziggy's back in the day.
We were literally
We already
just talking about
talked
that.
I mean, that was such a staple. I hate that it's gone. You know,
So much so.
You know, but then you also had the garage.
Yeah.
You know, and like the like that kind of underground metal kind of like you know, grunge punk scene that was going on there. You know, like, so we have these kind of, you know, pockets. You know, the Avett Brothers performed like super early, like downtown Winston. So these are like these little, like, music has definitely been part of our like history. So I'm really excited about the amphitheater. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great move. You know, and I'd love to see more things. You know that you know, UNCSA I feel like is such an asset, and you know, it's funny. I think that what did you call it? The grounding, the anchor.
Yeah. Having an anchor.
When I go somewhere else, you know, for work, and I tell people where I'm from, they're like, oh, Winston-Salem. You know, nobody never really knows where that is. Some people do, but you know, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, it's like I think of an anchor as like, what do you tell people your city's about? And it's like, for years it was like home of Krispy Kreme, and you know, and like, you know, I'm super proud of that. I love Krispy Kreme, and a lot of people do, but like they're not even here anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like I think we rested on our laurels about, like, you know, what
Well, it's
defines
Haynes
us.
and Reynolds
Yeah.
and, you know,
Yeah.
Krispy Kreme. We had these monster institutions, Wachovia there for a while. So many major industries. I mean, what was really interesting is, historically speaking, south of D.C., I think I've got this right. If you go south of Washington, D.C., up until I'm making up this number, but somewhere around 10, 12, something like that, we were the largest city south of Washington, D.C., up until like 1912.
That's amazing.
I mean, and I know
Yeah.
that was 100 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
but because of what we were doing, what we were innovating, what we were building, the locale, all of that stuff, it's difficult to find, and we talk about this a lot, but it's difficult to find a place that has the four seasons, the topography we have, the beach there, the mountains here. There's not a lot of that. So we're ideally positioned for so many great things here. And maybe it is resting on laurels, and maybe it is, you know, just sort of losing some of the larger industry that needs to come back. I'm not sure what it is, but something to that effect would probably continue to proliferate.
Yeah.
That anchor that we were talking about.
Yeah, I think as far as like industry and stuff, you know, we have such a rich history of textile here, and it has always shocked me that like Winston wasn't actively trying to pursue these outdoor economy companies, you know, outdoor wear. You know, there's a bunch in Asheville, there's a bunch in the mountains, but Winston is positioned to the point where it's like, if you wanted to do like a photo shoot at the beach, we can get you there, like real quick. You know, mountains, real quick. You know, you have just such a diverse landscape here in North Carolina. Winston's smack dab in the middle of it. You know, it's like I was always shocked that wasn't something that Winston had more of. But
Yeah. Well, I think if you proliferate the anchor the right way, you've got something to talk about. But if you, not the wrong way, but some of those anchors end up making you a much bigger city than maybe you want to be.
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, you think about Charlotte was always a good sized town, but then when it became the banking mecca, it exploded. And so, I mean, it's gigantic there now. And if you go talk to people who, you know, have been there for a long time, I mean, it's not like they have a problem with the change, but they're like, this is not the town I grew up in.
Yeah.
So whether that's good or bad, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Slow to medium growth is sometimes better. Than,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. If you see the like the aerial views of like still photos of Charlotte over the last like 20 years, it's been like,
Oh man.
I was shocked at how much Charlotte really grew from like 2010 to 2018.
Yeah.
It exploded.
And it's just crazy to me because I guess I just never really paid attention. So I always just was like, yeah, Charlotte really hasn't changed too much, you know? Not true.
No, not true.
Not true at all. It is a constantly growing city. I think Winston, it would be hard for Winston to be be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it would be, and I don't think anybody
I don't
wants.
think, I don't think anybody
you know?
wants it to be a real big
Yeah.
city.
I think what Raleigh's doing is impressive. You know, now given they've got the research triangle there, that's really, you know, helping to make that push between the three universities. But you know, Raleigh's got, I think, a lot of biotech and a lot of med stuff that's really pushing what's happening there, and it's, you know, continues to get ranked in the top 3 places in the country to live, whether that's for a job or for retirement or raising a family, and that's really cool. Which of course North Carolina just continues to follow that suit as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah. Raleigh kind of expands outward. That's
Yeah.
how I always view it. And Charlotte's like
Up.
Yeah.
But I do think, you know, with the new road systems that we have coming in, the Beltway and all that stuff, I think connecting Stokes County, you know, Yadkinville, all of these peripheral places, making it easier for someone in Stokes County to get to Haynesmall Boulevard.
Yeah.
Right now, that's
That's what we need, more traffic on Haynesmall Boulevard.
Oh, yeah.
but also just, you know, increasing, if you have a beltway running through an area, increases the business through that area, you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Well, food for thought.
Food for thought,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. We should all, for those of you who want to have this conversation, we'll open up the doors and have a big town council meeting on.
Be careful what you wish for.
I know,
Yeah, I
right?
know, right?
That's-
Yeah.
I've seen enough Parks and Rec to know that's not a great idea.
Right.
All right. So, how can people find out about your content and everything? with
Yeah,
you?
I'm on Instagram. That guy named Brent. Yeah, I wish I'd put more thought into that before.
I kind of like it, though.
I'm kind
I
of
like
stuck
it.
with it now. So, and then my website is brentpattersondp.com. And you can see some of my professional work on there. And the content side is on Instagram. But yeah, send me a message, shoot me an email. Always down to chat.
Or have a coffee
Yeah.
at the Remedy.
Grab a coffee. By all means, if you work in marketing and you need somebody to shoot something, let's get coffee.
He's got some cool content.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Yes.
Good talk.
Yeah.
This is Twin City Talk. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content because it is copyrighted.